For more on the day's top political stories, let us now bring in Steve Dorsey and Natalie Andrews. Steve is a CBS News correspondent. Natalie, a congressional correspondent for the Wall Street Journal. Steve, let's start with you. Trevor Reed's release, obviously good news. As noted, other Americans remain in Russian captivity. Every White House I've ever covered is cagey on these matters, but what, if anything, is the Biden White House saying about Paul Whelan and Brittany Griner?
Well, the White House, as we all know, is saying that is working to free and secure the release of Whelan and Griner, but not only them, but other Americans that are being wrongfully held in places across the world. What is especially challenging for the White House now, though, is the questions they're facing about why they negotiated the release and a prisoner swap for Trevor Reed, who was imprisoned in Russia in 2019, but not for Paul Whelan, who was imprisoned and detained in Russia back in 2018. And whether that incentivizes the mistreatment of U.S. prisoners that could prioritize a prisoner swap for them. That's something that the White House is facing questions on. Brittany Griner, we haven't heard much about her condition in Russia. That's concerning for members of her family, for her supporters. You may recall back in mid-February, she was detained at an airport after Russian authorities say they found cartridges of hashish oil in her luggage.
So, Natalie, this was a big day for you and anyone covering the fate of House Minority Leader and hopeful, that is to say, he hopes to be the next Speaker of the U.S. House, Kevin McCarthy. He had a conference meeting with his fellow Republicans. How did, in general, rank and file respond to not only the way McCarthy has explained his now recorded and subsequently released comments about former President Trump and other fellow House Republicans?
Major, I was outside of that meeting as House Republicans trickled out one by one or in small groups, and almost unanimously, except for one, they are standing by their man. They are ready to elect Kevin McCarthy as the Speaker. And unless tapes come out where he specifically singled out more members, it doesn't look like their support will be thwarted to have Kevin McCarthy lead their party. His message to the group was to focus on inflation, crime, issues that they want to talk about to voters as they campaign to win the majority.
And Natalie, is this really a question of that was then, this is now, meaning, yes, lots of people were traumatized in that moment after January 6th, and McCarthy said some things that are understandable in that context, but for whatever set of political reasons, Republicans have moved away from it and therefore viewed in that sort of rearview mirror they're excusable or tolerable?
When I talked to Republicans when the first recording was released last week, many of them said, let's wait to see what Donald Trump said. Let's wait to see what the rest of leadership said. Donald Trump said in an interview to the Wall Street Journal that he was still friends with Kevin McCarthy, that he had support. And that's really what Republicans have echoed as they came back from recess this week, that was then, their feelings were high. Now we're focused on the campaign.
So Title 42 and immigration reform dominated a Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas' appearance today on Capitol Hill. The secretary released a 20-page memo outlining what the department would do after Title 42 ends as scheduled currently May 23rd. Steve, what was in that memo and what was the overall atmosphere in this hearing?
There was a lot of questions directed towards Mayorkas from members of both parties. And it's clear that he's trying to make the case that the Biden administration has control over this situation, which Republicans especially say could really explode at the border when Title 42 is lifted and it allows more or even encourages more migrants to enter U.S. Customs and Border Patrol facilities. I love a good prop when I'm on CBSN, Major. Here's the memo right here, 20 pages thick, right? And this is the public case that the Biden administration is trying to make here. And it outlines 6 points that the Department of Homeland Security Secretary is trying to make here, including surging personnel, and that also includes transport and medical supplies to the border, trying to ramp up the processing of up to 18,000 non-citizens by May 23rd, expediting removal powers to return migrants home or to a third country, and leveraging things like FEMA grants to NGOs to respond to these already processed non-citizens, as the department calls them. It also uses a new intel unit to counter when we expect large caravans to arrive at the border, and also enables the department to try to expand its counter messaging efforts against these human smugglers, and telling them that it's not the situation they expect it could be.
And Secretary Mayorkas also mentioned that there might need to be a request for supplemental funding for all of these various border control or border maintenance issues in that 20-page memo. Natalie, I want to ask you, the Vice President Kamala Harris, she had a COVID-positive diagnosis, made a lot of headlines, understandably. But two Democratic senators have also tested positive. They are Chris Murphy of Connecticut, Ron Wyden of Oregon. How is their diagnosis, if at all, holding things up on the Hill?
There's a 50-50 Senate, so when we saw the first COVID diagnosis come out, I wondered about the schedule, and two, especially with Harris being out, that through every nominee that was going to get by on a tiebreaker, they can't pass. So some Fed nominees failed yesterday, or one Fed nominee failed yesterday. They've pushed some nominees back. These are nominees that Biden wants and considers crucial, and it's just kind of put the schedule up in the air. Also, if Republicans wanted to try to push through any sort of CRA or, regulatory push against the Biden administration, they have a majority now. It's so fragile.
And Natalie, another topic, the president's domestic spending plan, that was the thing formerly known as Build Back Better, appears yet again to have stalled out. What is the White House, if anything, saying about its recent encounters with West Virginia's all-too-famous Senator Joe Manchin?
When I talked to Joe Manchin yesterday, he said he hadn't been talking to the White House. He was leaving a meeting with Schumer where he was saying that he's open to considering talks, but he will not use the term Build Back Better. And it seems like what may get through in a 50-50 Senate with just Democratic support, maybe some tax changes. He'd really like the tax changes to revert back to more what they were before the Republican tax cuts in order to fight inflation, which is something he noted. And then maybe in there could be a climate proposal. There's this bipartisan group it's a interesting group of progressives, conservatives that has started meeting on climate. Maybe that'll produce something, but right now it's very, very at the still initial stages. And of course, whatever they do pass would have to go back to the House.
Sure. We're going to wait and see. Steve Dorsey and Natalie Andrews, thanks so very much.